My daughter looked me in the eye in front of 11 people at Thanksgiving dinner and said, "The only gift you can give me now, Dad, is your death." 7:18 p.m., November 23rd, 2023. 528 Oakwood Drive, Pasadena, California. 11 witnesses, $3.2 million on the table. I sat there, fork in hand, smiled, and decided, in that exact moment, that my daughter would never be a single cent of that money. In business, I learned one thing: the weak scream. The strong stay silent and take action. This story is about a father pushed to the edge, who chose to fight in a way greed never saw coming. This story has more twists than a shuffled deck in Vegas, and I placed every card 6 months in advance. If you've ever wondered whether you're too harsh for cutting off a toxic family member, stay with me. And if you know someone facing a similar situation, drop your state in the comments. I'll share free legal resources there. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss how this ends. But let me back up, because what happened that night wasn't a spontaneous outburst. It was the climax of a plan I didn't even know existed. My name is Hudson Harvey. I'm 64. Amanda, my daughter, didn't shout those words in anger. She said them calmly, almost rehearsed, like she'd been waiting for the right audience. My sister was there, her husband, a few cousins, Amanda's boyfriend, Brandon. They all froze, forks midair, wine glasses trembling. I remember the cranberry sauce glistening under the chandelier. I remember thinking, Claire would have known what to say. My wife died 8 years ago, pancreatic cancer, 2015, and I raised Amanda alone after that. Paid for Duke MBA, $195,000 in tuition, $55,000 to fund her startup when it inevitably failed. I gave her everything, or so I thought. The table stayed silent for maybe 10 seconds. Then my sister tried to laugh it off. "Amanda, honey, I mean it," Amanda cut her off. Her eyes didn't leave mine. "He's 62, healthy. He'll live another 20 years hoarding money he doesn't need. I'm 34. I have a whole life to build. But he's too selfish to see that." Brandon, sitting beside her, put a hand on her arm. Not to stop her. To anchor her. Like they'd discussed this. I set my fork down. Slow. Deliberate. I looked at Amanda, then at Brandon, then back at my daughter. "Amanda," I said, voice low, calm, "I think it's time for you to leave." She stood, grabbed her purse, didn't apologize, didn't explain, just turned to the door, and as she walked out, I heard her whisper to Brandon, "He'll come around. He always does." That's when I knew. This wasn't about hurt feelings. This was about money, and it was planned. What I didn't know yet was how deep the plan went, or how many laws she was willing to break to execute it. But I was about to find out. Let me take you back, because none of this makes sense without understanding who we were before that night. I met Claire in 1986. She was an accountant. I was a freight dispatcher trying to build something bigger. We got married in 88, had Amanda in 90. For 25 years, we were solid. Claire was the heart. I was the engine. Amanda was the reason we worked so hard. I started Harvest Freight Systems in my garage in 1992. One truck, one route. By 2010, we were moving cargo across 11 states. Revenue hit $8.7 million by the time I sold 40% in 2019. I kept the rest. Walked away with $3.2 million in personal assets. The house, $1.1 million. My retirement accounts, $1.4 million, and stocks and investments, $700,000. Claire died 5 years before that sale. Pancreatic cancer, stage 4. We had 6 months from diagnosis to funeral. I spent every night in that hospital room. Amanda was 25, just finished undergrad. She cried at the funeral, held my hand, told me, "We'll get through this, Dad, together." And for a while we did. I threw myself into work. Amanda threw herself into grad school. I paid for Duke. Not because I had to, because I wanted to, because Claire always said, "Education's the one thing no one can take from you." So I wrote the checks. $195,000 over 2 years. Amanda graduated top of her class. I was proud. I flew out for the ceremony, took her to dinner. She told me about her business idea, some app that would disrupt event planning. I didn't understand it, but I believed in her. She asked for seed money, $55,000. I gave it. No contract, no equity. Just make your mom proud. The app launched in 2021, died in 2022. She never told me why, just said the market wasn't ready. I didn't push. I figured she was embarrassed. I told her, failure's part of the game. Your mom and I failed 3 times before Harvest took off. She nodded, smiled, changed the subject. Looking back, that's when things shifted. She stopped visiting as often. Phone calls got shorter. She'd ask about my health more than my life. How are you feeling, Dad? You keeping up with your checkups? You should really think about setting up a power of attorney, just in case. At the time, it sounded like concern. Now I hear the blueprint. In November of 2023, 3 weeks before Thanksgiving, Amanda called. Said she wanted to talk estate planning. I thought, finally. She's thinking responsibly. I gave her the name of my family attorney. She said, actually, I already consulted someone. They think a POA would be smart, to avoid probate issues. I should have asked questions. I didn't. I said, sure, honey, send me the details. She said, I'll bring the paperwork at Thanksgiving. We can review it together. I said, okay. That Thanksgiving dinner was supposed to be a reconciliation. My sister hadn't seen Amanda in 2 years. I wanted family around the table again. I roasted a 20-pound turkey, made Claire's stuffing recipe, set out the good china. Amanda arrived late. 2 hours, blame traffic. Brandon was with her. I'd met him once before, briefly, at a coffee shop 6 months earlier. He seemed fine, polite, said he worked in consulting. During dinner, I tried to steer conversation toward happy memories. Amanda barely spoke. She checked her phone under the table. Twice, 3 times. When I asked about her job, she was working at some tech firm in Santa Monica. She gave one-word answers. Then dessert came. Pumpkin pie. Claire's recipe. I was cutting slices when Amanda's voice cut through the room. Dad, can we talk about your estate? I looked up. Now? Yes, now. She folded her hands. You're 62. Anything could happen. I need to know the plan. The plan? I set the knife down. Amanda, I'm healthy. I run 5 miles every morning. That's not the point. Her voice sharpened. The point is you're being irresponsible. If something happens to you, everything goes into probate. It'll take years, cost a fortune. I'll be stuck cleaning up your mess. My sister cleared her throat. Amanda, this isn't the time. When is the time? Amanda snapped. When he's dead? When it's too late? The table went silent. I looked at my daughter, really looked at her, and for the first time in 34 years, I didn't recognize the person staring back. That's when she said it, the line that ended everything. The only gift you can give me now, Dad, is your death. I thought I'd given my daughter everything. Turns out, I'd just raised a predator. 3 days later, Amanda called. It was November 26th, 2:33 p.m. I was at the kitchen table going through mail. I saw her name on the screen. Part of me wanted to ignore it, but I answered. Dad, her voice was flat. No apology, no explanation, just, have you thought about the POA? Not, I'm sorry for what I said. Not, can we talk about Thanksgiving? Just straight to the paperwork. I leaned back in my chair, took a breath. Amanda, I think we need to talk about what happened at dinner. I don't. She cut me off. I said what I said. You can be offended or you can be practical. The POA protects both of us. Protects us from what? From uncertainty. She sighed like I was a child. Dad, you're 62. If you have a stroke, if you get dementia, if something happens, who manages your assets? Who pays your bills? Without a POA, the state decides. Do you want that? I didn't answer right away, because part of what she said made sense. I'd seen friends go through probate hell, families torn apart over unsigned documents, but something felt wrong. Amanda, I said slowly, if I do this, it's because I trust you. Do I have reason to trust you right now? Silence. 5 seconds. 10. Then, I'll take that as a no. Her voice went cold. Fine. When you're lying in a hospital bed, unable to speak, don't blame me for not helping. She hung up. I sat there, phone in hand, staring at nothing. That wasn't my daughter. That was a stranger wearing her face. An hour later, my doorbell rang. I opened it. Amanda stood on the porch. Alone. No Brandon. She held a manila folder. I was in the neighborhood, she said. Not a question. A statement. I brought the POA. You can look it over. Amanda, just read it, Dad. She pushed the folder into my hands. I'm trying to help you. She turned and walked back to her car. Didn't wait for a response. Didn't say goodbye. Just laughed. I went back inside, opened the folder. The document was professionally printed. 12 pages. Durable power of attorney for finance and property. My name at the top. Amanda's name as the designated agent. It granted her full control over my bank accounts, my investments, my property, everything, the moment I was deemed incapacitated. There was a sticky note on page 3, handwritten, Amanda's writing. Dad, just sign and date page 9. I'll file it for you. I flipped to page 9. There was a signature line, pre-filled with my name. All I had to do was sign. I sat down, read the whole thing, twice. The language was airtight. Once I signed, Amanda would have access to everything. She could sell the house, drain my accounts, move my retirement funds. All she'd need was a doctor's note saying I was unable to make financial decisions. And here's the thing about incapacity. It's subjective. A single physician's opinion can trigger it. Dementia, cognitive decline, even severe depression. If Amanda wanted me out of the picture, she didn't need me dead. She just needed me declared incompetent. I looked at the footer. The document hadn't been drafted by my family attorney. It came from a firm I'd never heard of. Coleman and Pierce Associates, Estate and Elder Law. I pulled out my phone, Googled the firm. They existed. Los Angeles, decent reviews, nothing suspicious. But why wouldn't Amanda use my attorney? The one I'd recommended? I called her. Voicemail. I left a message. Amanda, I have some questions about this paperwork. Call me back. She didn't. That night I couldn't sleep. I kept rereading the document, kept hearing her voice. The only gift you can give me now, Dad, is your death. And then I remembered something. 4 days earlier, the day before Thanksgiving, Amanda had stopped by the house, said she needed to fix my Wi-Fi. I told her it was working fine. She insisted. Spent 20 minutes on my computer. Said she'd updated some settings. At the time, I thought nothing of it. Now I wondered, what else did she do while she was on my computer? The next morning, I opened my laptop, checked my email, Gmail, still logged in, but I noticed something strange. There was a folder I didn't recognize. Drafts. Inside, 3 emails sent between Amanda and someone named Brandon Cole. The subject line of the first one, Timeline for Dad. I clicked it open, and that's when everything changed. The email was dated November 20th, 3 days before Thanksgiving. Brandon Cole to Amanda Harvey, 8:42 a.m. Once he signs, we move fast. You said he's sentimental. Thanksgiving's perfect. Get him emotional, then pivot to the documents. If he resists, we escalate. But do not let him consult his family lawyer. That guy will kill the whole plan. Amanda's response, 9:15 a.m. He won't resist. He never does. I'll bring the POA, get him to sign for review, then file it Monday. Once it's active, we can start the next phase, nursing home consult, property appraisal, liquidation timeline. Brandon, I need you there Thursday. He trusts couples more than single people. Play the supportive boyfriend. Brandon, 9:51 a.m. What if he digs into the POA language? Amanda, 10:03 a.m. He won't. He's 62, not senile. He thinks I'm looking out for him, and even if he asks questions, I'll guilt him. Don't you trust me, Dad? Works every time. I read it 3 times. Then I read the other emails in the thread. November 18th. Amanda to Brandon. Coleman and Pierce finished the POA draft. Metadata shows file creation as November 15th, 8 days before Thanksgiving. Means we've been planning this for at least a week before he even knew about it. Document grants me full financial control the moment a doctor signs off on incapacity. I already have a geriatric psychiatrist lined up, Dr. Voss. He owes me a favor. One eval, one signature, Dad's done. Brandon's reply, what's the timeline after POA goes live? Amanda, 2 weeks to get incapacity certification. Then we move him into Sunrise Senior Living, Pasadena location. It's pricey but necessary for optics. We sell the house immediately. Market value is 1.1 mil, should close in 30 days. Retirement accounts get liquidated, penalties 10% but worth it for liquidity. Stocks converted to cash. Everything into a joint account under my control. Total liquid. Roughly 2.8 million after fees and taxes. We split 60-40. I keep the extra 20 because it's my risk. I stopped reading, stood up, walked to the window, stared at the street. My daughter wasn't trying to help me. She was trying to erase me, and Brandon wasn't her boyfriend. He was her accomplice. I went back to the laptop, checked the third email, November 21st, the day before Thanksgiving. Amanda to Brandon. One more thing. If he doesn't sign at Thanksgiving, we go nuclear. I'll file for conservatorship. Claim he's delusional, paranoid, showing signs of cognitive decline. I've been documenting incidents for 6 months. Times he forgot conversations, repeated himself, seemed confused. All fake, obviously. But a judge won't know that. Conservatorship gives me the same control as POA, just takes longer. Either way, I win. Brandon, you're terrifying. Amanda, I learned from the best. Dad built an empire by being ruthless. He just forgot I was watching. I closed the laptop, sat in silence. When I read that email, I didn't feel angry. I felt cold, because anger makes you blind. Cold makes you plan. Here's what I knew. 1. Amanda had been plotting this for weeks, maybe months. 2. Brandon Cole wasn't just her boyfriend. He was her strategist. 3. The Thanksgiving outburst wasn't emotional. It was tactical. She wanted me rattled, guilty, vulnerable, so I'd sign the POA without reading it. 4. If I didn't sign, she'd use the courts to take control anyway. And 5. I had maybe 72 hours before she realized I'd found the emails and deleted them. I forwarded all 3 emails to my personal account. Then I cleared Amanda's sent folder, logged her out, changed my Gmail password. Then I made a list. First, I needed a lawyer, not my family attorney. He was good for wills and probate, but this was elder law. I needed someone who understood financial abuse, conservatorship defense, and trust litigation. Second, I needed to secure my assets. If Amanda could access my accounts now, I was already exposed. Third, I needed to know who Brandon Cole really was. Because nobody talks about liquidation timelines and splitting 60-40 unless they've done this before. Fourth, I needed evidence. The emails were a start, but if this went to court, I'd need more. I'd need witnesses, documents, a paper trail Amanda couldn't deny. And fifth, I needed to accept the truth. My daughter wasn't confused. She wasn't desperate. She wasn't even cruel in the traditional sense. She was a predator. And I was her prey. I picked up the phone, Googled Elder Law Attorney Los Angeles, found a name, Margaret Sullivan, 20 years experience, specialty, elder financial abuse and undue influence. 5-star reviews. I called, got her assistant, explained, vaguely, that I needed urgent advice about a family member trying to take control of my estate. The assistant said, Ms. Sullivan can see you tomorrow. 10 a.m. I said yes, hung up, and then I did something I hadn't done since Claire died. I cried. Not because I was sad, but because I realized the person I'd spent 34 years loving, raising, sacrificing for didn't exist, and the person who did exist wanted me gone. That Thanksgiving dinner wasn't a breakdown. It was that opening move, and I'd just found the playbook. December 15th, 2023. 10 a.m. Margaret Sullivan's office was on Wilshire Boulevard, 12th floor. Glass walls overlooking the city. She was mid-50s, sharp suit, sharper eyes, the kind of person who'd seen this story 100 times and still treated it like the first. I sat across from her, handed her printouts of the emails. She read them in silence. No reaction, just focus. When she finished, she set the pages down, folded her hands. "Mr. Harvey," she said, "how long has your daughter been planning this?" "I don't know. Weeks? Months? And the POA document, do you still have it?" I pulled the folder from my bag. She flipped through it, stopped at page 9. "This signature line." She tapped it. "It's pre-filled with your name. That's unusual. Most attorneys leave it blank until signing." "Is that illegal?" "No, but it's aggressive." She closed the folder. "Mr. Harvey, I need to ask you something, and I need you to be honest. Do you have any cognitive issues? Memory problems? Confusion? Anything that could be used against you in court?" "No, I run 5 miles every morning. I manage my own finances. I read investor reports without glasses. I'm 62, not 92. "Good." She made a note. "Because if your daughter files for conservatorship, and based on these emails, she will, the court will order a psychiatric evaluation. We need to be ready." "What do I do?" Margaret leaned forward. "We build a fortress, legally, financially, and medically. Here's the plan." She pulled out a legal pad, started writing. "First, revocable living trust. We transfer all your assets, house, retirement accounts, investments, into a trust. You remain the trustee. You control everything, but the trust includes a disinheritance clause. If anyone, specifically Amanda, engages in elder abuse, financial exploitation, or undue influence, they're automatically removed as a beneficiary. This isn't just protective, it's punitive. Can she challenge it? She can try. But if we document her behavior now, these emails, the POA pressure, the Thanksgiving incident, we establish a pattern, the trust becomes bulletproof." I nodded. "What else?" "Second, power of attorney cancellation. Any existing POAs you've signed, revoke them immediately. File a formal revocation with your bank, your brokerage, everyone. Make it clear. No one has authority to act on your behalf unless a court orders it." "She'll know I'm onto her." "Good. Let her know." Margaret's voice was steel. "Right now she thinks you're passive, predictable. We're going to show her you're not." Third, account security. Tomorrow you go to your bank in person. You tell them, flag all transactions over $10,000. Require in-person authorization with photo ID for any withdrawals, transfers, or account changes. If Amanda tries to access your money, you'll know. She doesn't have access yet. Not legally, but if she has your social security number, and she does, she can try. We're closing that door." Margaret flipped a page, kept writing. "Fourth, private investigator. I want to know everything about Brandon Cole. Criminal record, financial history, past relationships. If he's done this before, and my gut says he has, we'll find it." "You think he's run this scam before?" "I think your daughter didn't come up with a 60-40 split and liquidation timeline on her own. Someone taught her. We're going to find out who." She slid a business card across the desk. "William Grant, best PI in the city. Tell him I sent you." I pocketed the card. "What's fifth?" "Medical evaluation, independent psychiatric assessment. I'll refer you to Dr. Sarah Mitchell. She's a board-certified psychiatrist who specializes in elder cognitive health. She'll do a full evaluation, memory, decision-making, financial capacity. When Amanda claims you're incompetent, we'll have a report that says otherwise. And if she hires her own doctor, she will. But our report comes first. And Dr. Mitchell has 20 years of courtroom credibility. Amanda's hired gun won't." Margaret set her pen down, looked at me. "Mr. Harvey, I need to be clear about something. This isn't just defense. This is war. Your daughter is trying to take everything you've built. And if we don't act decisively, she'll succeed. Are you prepared for that?" I thought about Claire, about the life we built, about the company I started in a garage, about the 34 years I spent believing Amanda was someone worth sacrificing for. "What's my goal?" I asked. "And your goal? If we win, what does winning look like?" Margaret leaned back. "That depends. Do you want to protect your assets? Or do you want to teach your daughter a lesson she'll never forget? I didn't hesitate. Both, she smiled. Not warm, strategic. Then we're going to do more than build a fortress. We're going to set a trap. And when Amanda attacks, and she will, we're going to let her, because every move she makes will bury her deeper. How? The emails are evidence of intent. But intent isn't a crime. We need her to act, to demand money, to threaten you, to prove on record that she's committing elder financial abuse. California Penal Code 368. It's a felony. 2 to 4 years in prison. You want me to bait her? I want you to give her enough rope to hang herself. I sat back, let it sink in. Margaret continued. Here's what's going to happen. You're going to ignore her calls for a week. Let her panic. Then, when she escalates, and she will, you respond. Calm, reasonable. You tell her you're thinking about the POA you asked to meet. She'll bring Brandon. She'll bring a notary. She'll push. And when she does, you'll record everything. California is a 2-party consent state. Correct. So you tell them up front, I'm recording this for my records. Most people don't object. If they do, they leave. Either way, you win. And if she files for conservatorship anyway, then we go to court, with emails, with recordings, with psychiatric evaluations, and we bury her. Margaret stood, extended her hand. Mr. Harvey, I've been doing this for 20 years. I've seen hundreds of families torn apart by greed, and I'll tell you what I tell all my clients. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. I shook her hand. I believe her, I said. Margaret nodded. Good, because we're not just protecting your money, we're protecting your dignity. And when this is over, your daughter will learn something her MBA never taught her. What's that? Actions have consequences, and consequences can't be bought. I walked out of that office with a plan, and for the first time since Thanksgiving, I felt something other than grief. I felt power. February 14th, 2024, Valentine's Day, 3:20 p.m. My doorbell rang. I opened the door. Amanda stood there, Brandon beside her, and behind them a woman I didn't recognize. Mid-40s, business attire, carrying a leather portfolio. Dad? Amanda's voice was bright, fake. We need to talk. About? The POA. You've been avoiding me. I had. For 2 months I'd ignored her calls, her texts, her emails, let her stew. Margaret's advice, let her think she's losing control. Desperate people make mistakes. Amanda was desperate. Can we come in? She asked. I stepped aside. They entered. Brandon looked around. Cataloging, I realized. Appraising. The woman with the portfolio didn't introduce herself, just stood by the door. Who's she? I asked. Notary public, Amanda said. Dad, we're here because you're running out of time. Time for what? To protect yourself. She pulled papers from her purse. The POA. Same document. You've been dragging your feet for months. Meanwhile, you're 62. Anything could happen. A stroke, a fall, dementia. If something happens and you haven't signed this, everything goes to probate. It'll take years, cost hundreds of thousands. I'm trying to save you from that. I looked at Brandon. He nodded, supportive, rehearsed. Dad, Amanda continued, I know Thanksgiving was rough. I said things I shouldn't have. But this isn't about feelings. This is about being practical. Practical, I repeated. Yes, sign the POA. Let me handle things if, God forbid, you can't. That's what family does. I walked to the kitchen, came back with my phone, set it on the coffee table. Before we do anything, I said, I want to record this. For my records. Amanda's face tightened. Why? Because I'm 62, and my memory's not what it used to be. I want a record of what we agreed to. Brandon glanced at Amanda. She forced a smile. Fine. Whatever makes you comfortable. I hit record. Set the phone down. Okay, I said. Explain the POA to me. In your own words. Amanda exhaled, impatient. It's simple. You sign. If you become incapacitated, I manage your finances, pay your bills, handle investments, make sure you're taken care of. And if I'm not incapacitated? Then nothing changes. You stay in control. So it's only active if a doctor says I'm incompetent. Right. Which doctor? She blinked. What? Which doctor decides whether I'm competent? Any licensed physician. So you could take me to a doctor, someone you know, and they could declare me incompetent, even if I'm fine. Dad, that's not... Because that's what the document says. Upon certification by a licensed medical professional. No second opinion required, no appeal process, just one signature. Amanda's jaw tightened. Brandon shifted in his seat. Dad, you're overthinking this. Am I? I picked up the POA, flipped to page 7. It also says you can sell my property, liquidate my retirement accounts, move my assets into accounts under your control, all without my consent, as long as one doctor says I'm incapacitated. That's standard language, is it? I set the document down. Because I showed this to an attorney. She said it's the most aggressive POA she's seen in 20 years. The room went silent. Amanda's smile vanished. You showed this to a lawyer? I did. Why? Because you told 11 people at Thanksgiving that the only gift I could give you is my death. So forgive me if I'm cautious about signing away my life savings. Brandon stood. Mr. Harvey, we didn't come here to argue. Sit down, I said. Voice flat. He sat. I looked at Amanda. I also found your emails. Her face went white. The ones where you and Brandon discussed timelines. Liquidation strategies, nursing homes, 60-40 splits. I leaned forward. You didn't come here to protect me. You came here to rob me. Amanda's hands trembled. Dad, those emails were written 3 days before Thanksgiving, which means everything, your outburst, this POA, this visit, was planned. Brandon stood again. We don't have time for this. We need the money in 10 days, I said, cutting him off. He froze. That's what you said in the car, right? We need the money in 10 days or we lose the deal. I heard you, in the driveway, before you came to the door. Amanda's eyes darted to Brandon. He said nothing. I stood, walked to the door, opened it. Get out of my house. Dad! Both of you. Now. The notary scurried out first. Smart woman. Brandon grabbed his jacket, headed for the door, stopped, looked back. This is a mistake, he said. No, I replied. The mistake was thinking I wouldn't find out. He left. Amanda stayed. Tears in her eyes. Real or fake, I couldn't tell anymore. Dad, please. Amanda. I kept my voice steady. I spent 34 years raising you. I gave you everything. Paid for your education, funded your dreams, and you repay me by plotting to steal my life's work. I wasn't stealing. Yes, you were. I stepped closer. And here's what's going to happen. You're going to leave. You're not going to call. You're not going to email. You're not going to show up at my door. Because if you do, I will take every email, every recording, every piece of evidence I have, and I will bury you. She stared at me, silent. Do you understand? She nodded, once, then turned and walked out. I closed the door, locked it, stood there for a full minute. Then I picked up my phone, stopped the recording, listened back. Brandon's voice, clear as day. We need the money in 10 days. Margaret was right. Desperate people make mistakes. I texted her, got it. She replied immediately, good. Now comes the hard part. I didn't know what she meant, but 3 days later, I found out, when Amanda filed for conservatorship and tried to have me declared incompetent. February 28th, 2024. The envelope came via courier, legal-sized, County of Los Angeles Superior Court, stamped on the front. I opened it at the kitchen table, read the first line. Petition for appointment of conservator of the person and estate. Petitioner, Amanda Harvey. Respondent, Hudson Harvey. Case number 24 STPB 01235. Court date, April 12th, 2024. I kept reading. Amanda's petition claimed I was suffering from cognitive decline and exhibiting signs of paranoia and delusional thinking. She cited incidents, forgetting conversations, repeating myself, making irrational financial decisions, She claimed I'd been manipulated by outside parties, Margaret Sullivan, presumably, and that I was no longer capable of managing my own affairs. Her proposed solution? Grant her full conservatorship, legal authority over my finances, my health care, my living situation, everything. At the bottom, a doctor's note, signed by someone named Dr. Raymond Voss, geriatric psychiatrist. He'd evaluated me, though I'd never met him, and concluded I showed early signs of dementia and impaired judgment. I called Margaret. "They filed," I said. "I know. I got the notice an hour ago." Her voice was calm. Too calm. "Hudson, this is good." "Good? She's trying to have me declared incompetent. And she's going to fail, because we have something she doesn't." "What?" "The truth." Margaret explained. In California, a conservatorship requires clear and convincing evidence of incapacity. The burden of proof is on the petitioner, Amanda. She'd need to show in court that I couldn't manage my own life. "But she has a doctor's note," I said, "from a doctor you've never seen." "That's a problem for her, not you. We'll subpoena Dr. Voss. Make him testify. Ask him how he evaluated you without ever meeting you. He'll either admit he lied or he'll perjure himself." "And if the judge believes him?" "The judge won't, because we have Dr. Mitchell." Dr. Sarah Mitchell had completed my evaluation 3 weeks earlier, 4 sessions. Memory tests, MMSE, MOCA, financial capacity assessment, decision-making analysis. Her report was 32 pages. Conclusion: Hudson Harvey demonstrates full cognitive function with MMSE score of 29 out of 30, MOCA score of 28 out of 30, and intact executive reasoning. There is no evidence of dementia, cognitive impairment, or diminished capacity. Mr. Harvey is fully competent to manage his personal and financial affairs. Margaret continued, "We're going to walk into that courtroom with Dr. Mitchell's report, your medical records, and recordings of Amanda pressuring you. The judge will see this for what it is, a cash grab." "But what if I lose?" Margaret paused. "Hudson, if you lose, Amanda becomes your conservator. She controls your bank accounts, your house, your health care. She can move you into a facility against your will, sell everything you own, and there's nothing you can do to stop her. Conservatorship is legal incapacitation. You become a prisoner in your own life." I sat down. The weight of it hit me. If I lost, I'd lose everything. Not just the money, my autonomy, my dignity, my right to make my own choices. I'd become exactly what Amanda claimed I already was, incompetent. "Tell me we can win," I said. "We can win, but it won't be easy." Margaret was right. Over the next 6 weeks, Amanda's legal team went scorched earth. They subpoenaed my medical records, my bank statements, my phone logs. They interviewed my neighbors, asked if I seemed confused or forgetful. They dug through my trash, literally, looking for pill bottles, appointment slips, anything that suggested decline. They found nothing, because there was nothing to find. But that didn't stop them from trying. In mid-March, Amanda's attorney, a man named Gerald Hoffman, mid-60s, slicked back hair, shark smile, sent a letter to Margaret. It offered a settlement. If I agreed to sign the POA voluntarily, Amanda would drop the conservatorship petition. No court, no public record, just a quiet transfer of power. Margaret called me, read the letter aloud. "What do you think?" she asked. "I think they're scared." "Good, let them be." She paused. "But Hudson, I need to prepare you. If we go to trial, Amanda's going to testify. She's going to say terrible things about you. She's going to paint you as a paranoid old man who's lost his grip on reality. Are you ready for that?" I thought about Claire, about the promises I made at her funeral, to protect Amanda, to give her everything. I'd kept those promises, and this was how she repaid me. "I'm ready," I said. April 12th arrived. I woke up at 5 a.m., couldn't sleep, put on my suit, navy, the one I wore to close the Harvest Freight sale, drove to the courthouse. Margaret met me outside. Courtroom 310, Judge Patricia Edwards presiding. We walked in. Amanda was already there. Front row, Brandon beside her, Gerald Hoffman at the counsel table. Amanda didn't look at me. The bailiff called the court to order. Judge Edwards entered, mid-50s, sharp gaze, no nonsense. Hoffman stood, presented Amanda's case, cited the incidents she'd documented, called Dr. Voss to testify. Voss explained, unconvincingly, that he'd reviewed my behavioral patterns and concluded I showed signs consistent with early-stage dementia. Margaret cross-examined. Dr. Voss, you've never met Mr. Harvey, correct? Correct? You've never conducted a cognitive assessment? Not in person, no. So your opinion is based entirely on reports provided by Ms. Harvey? Pause. Yes. Reports that Ms. Harvey wrote herself? I assume they were accurate. Margaret let that hang, turned to the judge. Your Honor, we'd like to submit Dr. Sarah Mitchell's evaluation, conducted over 4 sessions, with standardized tests, and a 32-page report. She handed it to the bailiff. Judge Edwards read in silence. Then she looked at Amanda. Ms. Harvey, do you have any medical evidence, beyond Dr. Voss's opinion, that your father is incapacitated? Amanda stammered. Your Honor, I've witnessed his decline firsthand. That's not what I asked. Do you have medical evidence? No, but then this petition is denied. Judge Edwards closed the file. Mr. Harvey, the court finds you fully competent. Conservatorship is not warranted. She banged the gavel. Amanda's face crumbled. Hoffman whispered something to her. She shook her head, stood, walked out. I exhaled, felt my knees go weak. Margaret put a hand on my shoulder. You won. But as we left the courtroom, I realized something. Amanda wasn't done. She'd just lost a battle, but the war wasn't over. And if I wanted to win, I couldn't just defend. I had to attack. March 15th, 2024. 10 days before the court hearing. Margaret and I sat in her office. She slid a file across the desk. William Grant's report, she said. On Brandon Cole. I opened it. First page, mugshot. Brandon Cole. Younger. Different haircut. Same face. 2 priors, Margaret said. Florida, 2018. Elderly financial exploitation. He convinced a 76-year-old widow to sign over power of attorney. Drained her accounts. Got caught. 16 months supervised probation. And the second? California, 2021. Identity theft. Opened credit cards in his grandfather's name. Settled out of court. Charges dropped in exchange for restitution. I looked at the photo. This was the man my daughter trusted. The man she planned to split my estate with. He's a professional, I said. Correct. And your daughter isn't his first mark. She's just the first one with a rich father. I closed the file. What do we do with this? We use it. In court. We show the judge that Amanda didn't stumble into this plan. She was coached by a career criminal. Will it matter? It'll destroy her credibility. Margaret leaned forward. But Hudson, we can do more than just win the conservatorship hearing. We can end this. Permanently. How? Elder financial abuse. California Penal Code 368. It's a felony. 2 to 4 years in state prison. If we can prove Amanda attempted to exploit you, and we can, we don't just protect your assets. We put her in jail. I stared at her. You want me to file criminal charges against my daughter? I want you to hold her accountable. She's still my daughter. Is she? Margaret's voice was soft, hard. Hudson, your daughter wished you dead in front of 11 people. She forged a doctor's note to have you declared incompetent. She conspired with a convicted fraudster to steal everything you've built. At what point does she stop being your daughter and start being a criminal? I didn't answer. Margaret pulled out another document. Here's what I'm proposing. After we win the conservatorship hearing, and we will, you make one more attempt to reach Amanda. You call her. Tell her you're tired, that you want to settle this, that you're willing to sign the POA if she drops the legal fight. You want me to lie? I want you to give her one last chance to incriminate herself. Margaret tapped the document. California is a 2-party consent state. You tell her up front, I'm recording this call. Most people forget. They keep talking. And when they do, they confess. What if she doesn't take the bait? Then we file criminal charges anyway. But if she does, if she demands money, threatens you, admits to the plan, we have her on tape. Extortion, elder abuse, conspiracy, everything. I thought about it. About the daughter I raised, the woman who sat in my living room with a notary and a con man. What do I say? Margaret handed me a script. Rob Anderson helped me draft this. He's a former DA. He knows how to build a case. I read it. Simple, vulnerable. Amanda, I'm exhausted. This fight is killing me. What do you need to make this stop? And if she asks for money? Let her. The more specific she is, the stronger our case. March 25th, 10:12 a.m. I sat at my kitchen table, phone in front of me, recording app open. I dialed Amanda's number. She answered on the third ring. Dad? Amanda? I kept my voice tired, defeated. I need to talk. Silence. Then, okay. I'm exhausted. This legal fight, it's killing me. I can't sleep. I can't eat. I just want it to stop. Dad, so I'm asking you, what do you need to make this stop? Pause. 5 seconds. 10. Are you serious? Yes. Another pause. You'll sign the POA? If that's what it takes. Then you'll drop the lawyer, Sullivan? If you drop the conservatorship. I heard her breathing, thinking, Dad, I need more than that. More? I need $500,000 transferred into my account. Today. There it was. Amanda, you heard me. Sign the POA. Transfer at $500K, or the conservatorship goes forward, and next time, you won't have a lawyer to save you. The court will appoint one, someone who doesn't care about you. Amanda, that's... Choose, Dad. I waited 5 seconds. Let the silence breathe. Then, thank you for being clear. I hung up, stopped the recording, sent it to Margaret. Her reply came 30 seconds later. We have her. April 12th, 2024, 9:30 a.m., courtroom 310. The conservatorship hearing. Judge Edwards sat behind the bench. Amanda at the plaintiff's table. Gerald Hoffman beside her. Margaret and I sat across the aisle. The judge reviewed the file, looked up. Ms. Harvey, you're petitioning for conservatorship of your father. You claim he's incapacitated. Do you have evidence to support that claim? Hoffman stood. Your Honor, we've submitted Dr. Voss's evaluation. Dr. Voss, who never met Mr. Harvey. The judge's tone was dry. What else? We have documented incidents of forgetfulness, confusion. Documented by whom? By Ms. Harvey. Judge Edwards looked at Amanda. Ms. Harvey, do you have any independent medical evidence that your father is incapacitated? Amanda stood. Your Honor, I've witnessed his decline firsthand. He forgets conversations. He repeats himself. He's making irrational decisions, such as hiring a lawyer to freeze his own assets. That's not irrational. That's prudent. The judge turned to Margaret. Ms. Sullivan, does your client wish to respond? Margaret stood. Your Honor, we have extensive evidence that Mr. Harvey is fully competent. Dr. Sarah Mitchell's evaluation, conducted over 4 sessions, shows MSE score of 29 out of 30, Mosquet score of 28 out of 30. Both indicate normal cognitive function. We also have Mr. Harvey's medical records, financial statements, and testimony from his personal physician. All confirm that he is in excellent health. She handed the file to the bailiff. Judge Edwards read, slowly, thoroughly. Then she looked at Amanda. Ms. Harvey, why are you really here? Amanda blinked. I'm sorry? This petition isn't about your father's health. It's about his money. That's not... Because if you were genuinely concerned about his welfare, you'd have consulted his personal physician. You'd have sought a second opinion. You didn't. You hired a psychiatrist who's never met him and asked the court to strip him of his rights. Hoffman jumped in. Your Honor, Ms. Harvey is acting out of love. Is she? The judge's voice sharpened. Ms. Sullivan, do you have anything else? Margaret stood. We do, Your Honor. She pulled out a folder, handed copies to the bailiff and Hoffman. This is a recording of a phone call between Mr. Harvey and Ms. Harvey, March 25th, 2024. In it, Ms. Harvey demands $500,000 in exchange for dropping this petition. Hoffman's face went white. Your Honor, we weren't informed. It's a phone call, Counselor, between a father and daughter, perfectly legal under California two-party consent. Mr. Harvey informed Ms. Harvey he was recording. The judge pressed play. The courtroom filled with Amanda's voice. I need $500,000 transferred into my account. Today. Amanda, you heard me. Sign the POA. Transfer $500K or the conservatorship goes forward. The judge stopped the recording, looked at Amanda. Ms. Harvey, did you demand money from your father? Amanda's hands trembled. Your Honor, I was upset. That's extortion. No, You threatened your father with legal action unless he gave you money. That's the definition of extortion. Hoffman tried to intervene. Your Honor, my client was under duress. Your client is 34 years old. She has an MBA. She knew exactly what she was doing. Judge Edwards closed the file. This petition is denied. Mr. Harvey is fully competent. And Ms. Harvey, Amanda looked up, if your father chooses to pursue criminal charges against you, I will not be surprised. She banged the gavel. We're adjourned. Amanda sat frozen. Hoffman whispered something. She didn't respond. I stood, walked past her, didn't look back. Outside the courtroom, Margaret smiled. That went better than expected. What happens now? Now you decide. Do you want to press charges? I thought about it. About the 34 years, the tuition payments, the sacrifices. Yes, I said. Good. Margaret pulled out her phone. I'll call Rob Anderson. He'll walk you through filing with the DA's office. 2 days later, I sat in the Los Angeles County District Attorney's office, 10th floor. Rob Anderson across the desk. He reviewed the evidence. Emails, recordings, Dr. Voss's fraudulent evaluation, Brandon's criminal history. This is a strong case, he said. Elder financial abuse, attempted extortion, conspiracy to commit fraud. We're talking 2 to 4 years in state prison, both of them. Both? Amanda and Brandon. They acted together. California law treats conspiracy as a separate charge. What do I need to do? Sign the complaint. Testify if it goes to trial. And be prepared for Amanda to come after you. Emotionally, publicly, she'll paint you as a vindictive father. The media will eat it up. I signed the complaint. Case filed. People versus Harvey and Cole. LA County DA's office. Case number 24-089-04. When I walked out of that office, I felt something I hadn't felt in months. Not anger, not sadness, relief. Because for the first time since Thanksgiving, I wasn't playing defense. I was taking back control. April 20th, 2024. I sat in Margaret's office, alone this time. She'd asked me to come in, said there was one more decision to make. She slid a document across the desk. Irrevocable trust. What's the difference between this and the revocable trust? Revocable means you can change it. Irrevocable means you can't. Once you sign, it's permanent. Why would I do that? Margaret leaned forward. Because Amanda can still challenge a revocable trust. She can claim undue influence, diminished capacity. She can tie this up in court for years. But an irrevocable trust? No contest. The assets are gone, legally, forever. Gone where? Wherever you want. She opened the document. You designate beneficiaries. Could be a charity, a scholarship fund, a nonprofit, anyone except Amanda. I stared at the paper. So I'd be giving away everything. You'd be ensuring your legacy. The money doesn't disappear. It just goes where you choose, not where Amanda demands. I thought about Claire, about the promise I made at her funeral to give Amanda everything. But Claire never met this version of Amanda. The woman who wished me dead, who conspired with a felon, who tried to have me declared incompetent. Claire would have wanted me to protect myself and to build something meaningful. What if I split it? I asked. Part to charity, part to something that reflects what I believe. Margaret smiled. Tell me what you're thinking. A scholarship fund for kids from working-class families, not wealthy kids who think they're entitled to their parents' money. Kids who actually need it, who will use it to build something. How much? $2.1 million? It covers 14 students, and $15,000 per year, 4 years each. Renewable if they maintain a 3.5 GPA and complete a community service project. Margaret made notes. What's the other $1.1 million? elder abuse prevention, fund legal aid for seniors who can't afford attorneys like you, so they don't get steamrolled by their own families. Margaret set her pen down, looked at me. Hudson, this is permanent. Once you sign, Amanda gets nothing, ever. I know. No inheritance, no death benefit, nothing. Good. She slid the document forward. Then sign. I signed. April 20th, 2024. 3:15 p.m. The Harvey Merritt Scholarship Foundation, the Elder Protection Legal Fund, combined $3.2 million. Amanda's inheritance, 0. That night, Amanda's lawyer called. Gerald Hoffman, voice tight. Mr. Harvey, I'm calling on behalf of my client. Amanda's not your client anymore, I said. She's a defendant. She'd like to discuss a settlement. There's nothing to settle. Mr. Harvey, if you drop the criminal charges, she'll agree to never contact you again. No lawsuits, no appeals, clean break. Tell Amanda I don't negotiate with people who wished me dead. Mr. Harvey, and tell her something else. The money's gone. Every cent. I gave it away to people who'll actually use it to build something, not to steal from their parents. Silence. Then, you gave it away? Irrevocable trust. Filed yesterday. She can't touch it. Can't challenge it. It's done. I hung up. 30 seconds later, my phone buzzed. Text from Amanda. You're a bastard. I deleted it. Blocked her number. Then I called Margaret. It's done. And how do you feel? I thought about that. About the 34 years. The sacrifices. The betrayal. Light, I said. And I meant it. Because I'd learned something Claire tried to teach me years ago. Legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's what you choose to build. And I just built something Amanda could never take away. October 15th, 2024. 6 months after the trust was filed. I stood in the Pasadena Public Library. Community room, 14 kids in front of me. First recipients of the Harvey Merritt Scholarship. They weren't polished. No designer clothes, no prep school pedigrees. Just kids who worked, who pushed, who wanted more than what they were born into. I shook each of their hands, told them, this scholarship isn't charity, it's an investment. I believe you'll build something worth building. Prove me right. They nodded, some cried. One kid, Marcus, 17, wanted to be a civil engineer, said, Mr. Harvey, why'd you do this? I thought about how to answer that. Because legacy isn't what you leave for your kids, I said. It's what you leave for the world, and I wanted to leave something that matters. Marcus smiled. Thank you. Don't thank me. Just build something. After the ceremony, I walked to the parking lot, pulled out my phone, one new email from Amanda. Subject, I'm sorry. I almost deleted it, but curiosity won. I opened it. Dad, I know you won't forgive me. I don't expect you to. I just want you to know I'm in therapy. I'm working on myself, and I'm trying to understand how I became someone who could say those things. Someday, if you're willing, I'd like to talk. Not about money, just to talk. I read it twice, then I forwarded it to Margaret. Her reply, what do you want to do? I typed back, nothing. If she changes, I'll know. Words are cheap. Margaret, agreed. I put the phone away, got in my car, drove home. At 528 Oakwood Drive, I made coffee, sat on the porch, watched the sunset. For the first time in a year, I felt at peace. Not because Amanda apologized, but because I'd built something bigger than her greed, bigger than my hurt. 14 kids would get an education they couldn't afford. Dozens of seniors would get legal help they desperately needed. And Amanda, she'd learn, maybe, that actions have consequences, and consequences can't be bought. If this story resonated with you, if you're facing something similar or you know someone who is, drop your state in the comments. I'll share resources. Legal aid, elder protection services. You're not alone. And if you want more stories about people who win, not by shouting, but by strategy, subscribe. Because here's the truth I learned. Legacy isn't what you leave behind. It's the mark you create. And the best revenge isn't getting even. It's building something they can never touch.